I quickly threw this tutorial together for the By Myself Flowers cup. You want to prep and sand and spray paint your cup with Krylon Matte Spanish Moss. You could use another green color. I would say stick with like a camo green. I use the epoxy method on this, not Mod Podge. You will apply the epoxy and then you'll put the mixture on, which is kitchen spices. You'll let the kitchen spices spin for 6 hours, and then you will use a spray sealer from the company Deft is what I use. It's a wood lacquer. You will use that. You'll spray them. You can also use this to spray the water slides too. So same time. And wait 30 minutes before doing the lacquer part. These steps, they help you not to use 8 coats of epoxy because these kitchen spices are dried, and then when the epoxy hits them, it's almost like they try to absorb it. So you do want to seal them before applying the first layer of epoxy. Another thing to note is that this lacquer can't be washed from a brush with water. It needs lacquer remover. I didn't buy that. I just tossed the brush. However, I do make more than one of these at once to make it worth using the brush only once. You want to let gravity help do the work here and seep down, but you can spread it with the brush the entire way. Once it's covered, you'll wait 24 hours before putting on the first layer of epoxy like I am here. After covering this, you'll let this spin for 6 hours. Next, you'll sand off the sharp peaks. And then I use this little vacuum that I found on Amazon to get all of the dust off because there's a lot of grooves in the cup at this point. It's definitely not smooth enough to wipe off. After you sand it smooth or do another coat of epoxy and smooth it, put on the decals in white. Next, you will put a coat of epoxy on the white decals in preparation for the clear water slides that you've printed off and sealed with the spray. You'll let this spin for 6 hours. Here, I'm about to show you that I do a heat gun. So a torture heat gun to get bubbles out is a good idea. But after that spins for 6 hours, then cut out your water slides and put them in the water for about 30 seconds. I let my water slides sit for 4 hours before I apply the next coat of epoxy. Here I'm just getting the extra moisture off with a paper towel. And then they're ready for another coat of epoxy, which this one might be your final coat, but normally I would say that there's sanding after this one and then another final coat. Okay, then they spin for 6 hours, cure for 72 hours, and they're ready. I do have the SVG for this cup, this design, linked in the description, and as well as my Facebook group, which there's other tutorials, discounts on SVGs, and more. So hope to see you there. Happy making!